We're good. All right. This is episode 199 of the No Hangover podcast. Before we get started, I know you guys notice a guest, an unfamiliar face, but before we get started, shout out to Sincere, my barber, and 24K Barber Lounge for letting us set up shop here and get some good content for you guys. So thank you again. It's not the first time we've been here, and it won't be the last. But to get started, we do have a guest, first time on here. And I'm not going to lie, this is probably one of the more prestigious guests that we've had on. This is a two-time published author, filmmaker, Chantelle Rumph.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, just to get right into it, published author, filmmaker, how do those titles next to your name make you feel? Like, how does that, is a sense of pride or, because it sounds like when I say it, I'm like, damn, that's legit.
Honestly, I fell in love with writing right before I graduated in college in 2018. And then far as like the filmmaking, I always was like recording different things. Mm-hmm. So I just shot my first movie June of this year, 2024.
Oh,
so once I got a camera, someone gifted me with a camera. I started learning how to film, catch the right angles, and then I went and learned how to edit myself. So
just self-taught on that one. Like, you didn't really, there was no schooling. Because I know, you're from Orlando, correct? From this area? Or
from Sanford.
Sanford? All right, yeah, so you're from the Orlando area. I know, Full Sail. I know I've actually had a couple people on that went to Full Sail and things like that, since it's obviously one of the bigger universities in this area. But self-taught filmmaker. As far as, like, the writing, when did you start getting into actually, writing? And, like, when did you figure out that was something that was a passion of yours?
So like I tell everyone when this question comes up, my writing skills actually came from me venting to myself in a diary. So I never knew that my diary, I would expose that to the world of like what I went through, being labelized my last year in college, having my dreams stripped away from me when it came to playing basketball. I literally was just writing, and then I published a book later on in life. But I developed my writing skills from hurt, from pain, of just writing about what I was going through in my day-to-day life without basketball.
What happened with basketball? Because I've gotten like halfway through the first book, and it was a reoccurring theme that basketball was a very big influence on you. You mentioned that, WNBA was something that you were aspiring for. And just on top of that, I played sports myself, just, the things that just playing sports, team sports teaches you, and like the discipline and the life lessons and, some of the lifelong friends that you make from it, it seemed like that was a very big influence. And I know you just mentioned that that was stripped away from you. Like, what happened there?
So I was at Fort Valley State, and a brand new head coach had came on who didn't know me. Mm-hmm. So previously, before this coach got introduced to me, she was already looking up stuff for like my Facebook or like my Instagram, and she had already prejudged me before I even got there. You already labelized me. Yeah. Versus the coach that was there before her, I had already had a connection in. He brought me in from a school in Iowa, and we bonded, but he retired my last year. And after she kicked me off the basketball team, she tried to get my scholarship took. So that didn't work. I was able to take 23 credit hours in one semester with a full ride basketball scholarship. So I was basically just on campus just to do my schoolwork. Then I go back home. And then after, she comes back and she's like, oh, well, you never said you wanted to play again. You just quit. I'm like, no, I didn't quit. You tried to hinder me from my dreams, but you turned me into a beast.
But, what was, like, her deal? Like, why was she, like, what did she have against you?
I don't know. It was so weird. Like, I'm my mom's only kid, so like my mom would send me like the $100 pair of buckle jeans, like the Rock Revival jeans. I'll put them on. I'll go to the locker room getting ready to change, and she'll be like, "Oh, you think you all that because you got on $100 jeans?" And like my response back to her would be like, "No, you must be think I'm all that because I got on $100 pair of jeans." So it's like, you did everything that I wanted to do. Why would you want to take that away from a person that's wanting to do what you're doing?
Man, there had to be some type of like underlying jealousy or something like that.
That's what I thought.
Right? That seems like the only like logical, reasonable explanation to have that type of animosity towards somebody that you don't even know. And if you're looking at it from a sports perspective, it's like, yeah, if as a coach, it's like, I want players that are going to help me win. And if you have the right mindset and attitude, like, hey, whatever you decide to wear or whatever outside, it's not really any of my concern as long as you're showing up and doing what you got to do.
I think their record was like 3-20 or something.
Damn. Yeah, well, damn. So basketball, you went to college. What did you major in college?
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice?
Yeah.
Is that something that was also like a passion, or you just felt like it was something that, just
if you want me to be honest, anytime
course.
I had a college tour, I would always ask students, what's the easiest major? And they'll be like, criminal justice. And I'm like, okay. And then like in like where I'm from, the atmosphere of where I'm coming from, I see a lot of people like going to jail. They don't know the law. They don't know the consequences and the statutes. And just from being in the criminal justice field, I actually gained and learned a lot of knowledge from that as well.
Word. Yeah, I feel like you're going to learn about the law one of two ways. You're going to either study it or you're going to get in trouble enough times that you start fucking
Till you learn it.
For real, you start becoming your own lawyer pretty much. So
Facts.
No, but I mean, and that's regardless of, whether it was the easy thing or not, the fact that, yes, that was the first question, but then you kind of like started digging a little deeper. It's like, all right, well, this actually might benefit me, knowing where I come from, knowing the people that I know, kind of. And it seems like you're somebody that likes to, spread your knowledge and kind of give your wisdom out to people and things like that. So that's also, a very admirable characteristic. So your first book that you published, how was that feeling when you're starting to realize, you're going through the process of publishing all these things, and you're starting to realize, all right, this is actually going to be a real thing. Like, I'm going to have a published book out there.
So, actually, because my first book, The Living Proof, it symbolizes basketball. I did a basketball tournament along with my book signing.
Oh, shit.
So I had like 4 semi-pro teams there playing basketball for me. And then I also previously would host my own basketball tournaments in Sanford. So I would get like 10 teams, charge each team like $100, and then I'll give away cash prize whoever wins. And so just by combining the two together, I knew I was going to have a great impact. I knew I was going to have a great success.
Yeah. And like, again, once that was, an established thing, like when it's published, it's out there, like, what was that feeling of like, was it something that was like, damn, I did it, and kind of like a sigh of relief, or more of like all right, I done it, bring on some more shit. Like, what else am I going to do? Like, how much further can I take this?
This is gonna sound crazy. Everything I'm doing right now, it was already told to me that I was gonna be doing this. And so now, sometimes when my life be going so fast, in my mind I be like, damn, is this really happening to me? Like, this was really told what was gonna happen to me. So I wouldn't say it's more so of, I finally got it done. It's just like, boom, check mark. Where's the Mario cards? I mean Mario coins,
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. Hey, and that, I feel like that's another good thing too. Is I feel like a lot of how does the quote go? The killer of a dream is content, or something like that.
Right.
And hitting a milestone like that, like, I don't know too many people that have published books and that are on. And from what you told me, you're working on the 3rd right now. So.
Yes.
So I mean, that's just doing one is a feat in of itself. And I feel like a lot of people would just be like, all right, I did it, like, no more. But like, it is, again, another something that I admire a lot is when you hit a milestone and it just is pushing you, motivating you to do a little bit more. That's what's the next step? What's the next challenge I can hit? What's the next step in my life journey? And I feel like, for someone that that seems like is very involved in the community. I saw that you started a nonprofit organization, which is, again, you just checking off the list of great characteristics, great qualities to have. I feel like that's something that, a characteristic that you need to have is, yes, accomplish things, set goals for yourself, but don't let those goals limit you to just those things.
Right.
So, but about that nonprofit organization, talk a little bit about that. That's something that, again, my sister she's a museum director, so she works a lot with nonprofits, my older sister, and things like that. So I kind of have a little idea of it, but what was the inspiration behind starting it, and then what is the day-to-day process of running a nonprofit?
So my nonprofit is named Truth in the Youth, and so I am a very firm believer of it starts with the youth, you know, because they're next up. Our time is already, you know, flooding through the gates. They're next up. And Truth in the Youth, it's for education. It's for sports training and mentoring as well. So also with Truth in the Youth, day to day, it's basketball training, however many sessions you want, you pay that. And then also if they're in high school, like 12th grade, 11th grade, I can take your film, send it to college coaches and get you a scholarship if you're good enough. You know, and if you're not good enough, we'll look at plan B. Okay, let's hit up these NAIAs, JUCOs to see how far we can get you to the next level if your potential is there.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing to, you know, setting people up for success. Even if it's, you know, even if someone's dream is to go, you know, pro in something, and I hate to sound like a fucking Debbie Downer, but the odds of that are very low. But if you can get them into college, get them, you know, into some type of educational system to, you know, get some higher learning, get a degree, you know, do something that, you know, is a great way to set you up. Plus, I mean, then you do get the opportunity to play college at the next level, play basketball, play, you know, whatever sport, football, soccer, this, that, whatever. And I mean, that's also a great experience too. I feel like, for me at least, like moving away from Florida for a little bit definitely was a good learning experience for me. And it was a great, you know, being able to find myself, you know, you're meeting new people, you're kind of forced to make new friends, things like that. So I think, you know, as much as I do enjoy, you know, being in my hometown and being in my area, you know, I feel like you kind of have to get out a little bit to grow and you know, figure out what type of person you are, what you like, what you don't like, you know, figure out what type of people you want in your life, things like that. So, but, so you get, you know, your first book published, all that. How long between your first book and your second book did it take for you to, I guess, get it published and, you know, come up with the ideas of what you wanted to do for your second book?
So I published my first book August 2023. I published my second book March 2024.
So pretty much a year.
Yeah.
Nice.
And my third book, I plan on having that one done December and doing a book signed in like January or February.
This coming December?
Yeah.
Oh shit! All
like
right.
Next month.
Oh damn! All right, bet. Damn, you're on a roll. You're moving, keeping things moving.
Got to, cause like different podcast stations, they reach out to me, and I don't want to just keep getting on talking about the same two books. I want a thrill. I want to give someone a thrill. I can talk about the books. I can talk about the movie. Now I can talk about a whole new book, and like the books can transpire and go into a film. Yeah,
I mean, and that is the great thing about books. I'm not really much of a, like, when I read more about like articles and informative stuff. Like, I feel myself getting old and like just reading fucking news articles and shit. But I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, I feel like connecting with the actual author definitely helps, and getting, you know, like I said, getting halfway through this book was definitely like, all right, like, you know, getting to know somebody and like, you know, kind of seeing, you know, where they draw inspiration and things like that kind of, you know, piques the interest a little bit too. So speaking of the second book, this is it right here. We both got our copies right here.
Rebirth and Self-Love, Mental Health, and Forgiveness.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. What I mean, what was the goal with this book? I mean, I feel like the title is pretty self-explanatory on like, you know, what the general goal is, but like, you know, kind of digging deeper into it, like, you know, the inspiration that you drew from it to write this, and, you know, what was it exactly that I guess brought this book to reality? So
the book that brought the things that brought this book into reality is just, I have so many people that are going through so many karmatic traits for things that they did in the past or just trying to find themselves. So when I'm listening to people vent about their problems or coming to me about their problems, I'm like, do you love yourself? Like, do you really love yourself? In order to love yourself, you got to have structure and know how to be to self. If you're not to self, and I'm talking about like all the way to self, not being around no friends, just deeply finding yourself. Once you find yourself and you come to be at peace, nothing can bother you. I mean, nothing. Like, you can have an ignorant person trying to bother you, and it still won't bother you because you're at peace.
Truly.
And I feel like so many people don't know how to express themselves. So many people may say, I forgive you. But 5 minutes later, you get into an argument with this person, and you bringing up
the same shit.
What done pissed you off? Like, how the fuck you forgive someone and you steady bringing this up? Yeah. That's not real.
For real. And, like, it does kind of, you know, it shows the emotional immaturity. And like, you know, when I say that to people, sometimes they kind of take it as like a slight, and it's not, you know, it's not. I don't mean it in a way of like I'm trying to come at you or I'm judging you in any way. It's just, you know, the reality of it. And I feel like, you know, especially as we get older, like it's odd to me, like the older that we get, the more entitled we get to things, and like the more you're just kind of like, well, I've paid my dues in life, so I can just kind of do A, B, and C things, and you know, fuck everybody else, you know, fuck the consequences and whatever. And when it should be the opposite, because you know, when you're in kindergarten, first grade, it's, you know, taught to you, you know, treat others with respect, you know, be kind, be nice, you know, all these fundamental things, and then as you kind of go through life, it just, you know, we get away from that. Right. And you get taught more to like, all right, well, you've earned this and you deserve this, when in reality, like, those are made up concepts. What's, you know, deserving and like fairness and all these things are so, you know, it varies from each situation. Right. So it just creates this warped concept of what reality really is and what life really is. And like, you know, life doesn't have to be difficult. Life is already difficult enough as it is. So like, why make it harder on yourself with, you know, telling lies to yourself, or, you know, making yourself believe something that you know is not true, which at the end of the day, and
Delusion.
Man.
That's mental health. I wrote about that in my book. It's a lot of people out here that are delusional and they have mental health issues. And
I hate how it's being promoted nowadays. Like, I've seen, like, people put, like, I'm in my Delulu era and all that shit. And it's just like, why is that something to brag about? Like,
because they're really seeking out for help. Like, if somebody telling you, oh, girl, I just put that on there. Man, shit, I just put that on there just to put it. So you're advertising false things, but you're making yourself believe it on the internet so others can believe it.
Which is wild to me. No. It's fucking wild to me, and I just don't understand. And like, I was on one of the my more recent podcasts. We were talking about that, how lying to yourself is a paradox, because you know you're lying to yourself. So like, you can convince yourself that it's not a lie, but at the end of the day, once you go thinking about it, like, you know it's a lie and you're lying to yourself. So you cannot lie to yourself. But people will still justify some shit.
And you have friends that'll go along with the lie, knowing that you look stupid as hell.
Man, that's not a friend. That's not a friend. Listen, and that's one thing that I appreciate about my friends, is that we'll keep it a buck with each other. And that's why, my friends that I have that I consider friends that are close, I've known them since either my freshman year in high school or before that. Gotcha. My longest running friend, I've known him since I was 4 years old. And like, it's not like we talk all the time and things like that, and I've had him on the podcast a few times as well. But, you know, when we do, you know, link up and we see each other, it's, you know, all love. We keep it real. We, you know, fuck around, make jokes, things like that. But it's I feel like all my friendships are very genuine, very honest. And that's what, more than anything, that's what I value a lot of. It's like, I don't ask for much in any type of relationship, whether it's friends, family, romantic, business. Be honest with me, and the rest of this will come. The trust, the loyalty, all that shit will come. But if you're not honest with me, and I'm making decisions based off of, you know, lies that you're telling me, then that gives me every right to be mad at you and not trust you. But if you're telling me the truth and giving me what the real is, and I still decide to go along with something, then that's on me.
Right.
There's no room for me to be upset with you, because I'm now making it as an adult. I'm making these decisions. Right. And it's wild that, like, a lot of people my age or, you know, a little bit older just don't grasp that concept. And to your point, I do feel like it is a lot of, you know, just, you know, mental health things that, you know, for as much as people do push these things, and it is becoming, you know, people are becoming more aware of these things, it's still a large percentage of people that are just content with just living in their own little lie and living in their own little world. And
better know it.
That shit blows my mind. But, you know, so with the self-help stuff, how much of that has been like, have you pulled from your own life experiences, or even just things that you've seen from, you know, like, you know, from a friend telling you something, or a family member, you know, spilling the tea with you or whatever, and how much of that is you actually pulling from firsthand experience?
So firsthand experience, if I'm going through stuff, I kind of back away from people to get my thoughts and get everything that I need to get in alignment with myself. But if you a person that is always calling me complaining about chaos or about just stuff I don't want to hear, I back away from you slowly. And I honestly be to myself. It just be me or my daughter. And I even started gardening. And I started gardening, man, everybody thought I had went crazy. And they just don't know it's so therapeutic. Like, it's a beautiful thing to plant a small seed and you just watch it sprout. You know, blossom, bloom.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I'm a blooming blossom right now.
I was about to say, it's a great metaphor for life. It's like, you know, because especially with gardening and things like that, like you have to nurture it, you have to, you know, pay attention to it, water it, you know, all these things. And if you put in that work, put in the time, you'll see, you'll see the fruits of your labor, quite literally.
Literally, right in front of you.
And also, I mean, it's great self-sufficient. You know, you plant yourself some tomatoes, some vegetables, things like that, some fruit, you know, and then, you know, you kind of build up from there. But you know, self-sufficiency is a great thing. That's something that I've kind of wanted to get into. My sister and her husband, they garden a little bit. I know my grandmother has her own little garden in her house and shit like that. So it's definitely something that, you know, once I get into my own space and things like that, I want to start, you know, kind of traveling down that road a little bit, just because, I mean, shit's getting wild out here. You got to be self-sufficient.
Better know how to garden.
Real shit.
Get your own fruit. You don't have to go to the market. You don't know if anybody's injecting anything in these
for real
things that we're eating now. You never know.
Yeah, it's wild out here. It's wild out here. That shit blows my mind. But let me not get too off topic with that right now. So this book, this second one, Rebirthing Self-Love, Mental Health, and Forgiveness. What is for? I guess if you're trying to, I don't know. I don't want to say sell the book or like convince somebody to read it, but like as far as like if someone's asking you about it, like I guess in this sense right now, since I haven't gotten a chance to read it, like what is your, you know, what is your biggest takeaway from this? Like what is the biggest thing that you want people to take away from this book, besides obviously the mental health stuff and things like that? Like,
I just want people to value themselves as a better them. Don't go off of what everyone else want you to be. Go off of what self wants to be. Value yourself, learn yourself, motivate yourself.
And how do you, I mean, for you personally, how do you, you know, what was your journey on that? You know, was it something that kind of came naturally, or is it something that you had to, you know, again, kind of bump your head a little bit and figure out a few times, like, all right, like this is what I need, this is what I don't need, you know?
No, it just comes naturally. Your human instincts kick in. You know, when you're doing something wrong, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're doing something right. You know, you need a pat on the back. I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
So you just gotta in tune. When you're in tune with yourself, like literally in tune, it's like second nature. Everything will make sense. Everything will align to you.
Was there like a moment where you felt like where everything just started clicking for you, like where it just kind of like, you know, like the clouds kind of cleared in your head and like it's like, oh my God, all this shit makes sense now, like, and then like, you know, you were able to start putting these things to, you know, putting them into action and things like that.
Once I put a blockage on things that I couldn't control, everything went perfect for me. The doors just swung right open. I'm talking about, I didn't have to kick them down. It just they swung right open.
Automatic doors.
Like a golden rug rolled out.
Hey, that's some real shit though. That's something else that I feel like a lot of people, you know, struggle with, is understanding the things that you can control and you can't control, and then, you know, putting the time and effort into the things you can control and letting whatever you believe in, God, the universe, you know, spirits, whatever it is that you believe in, take care of the rest. And I feel I'm a big believer in like, hey, listen, I can do A, B, and C things, but, you know, D and F are things that I can't control. And as long as I put in enough work into here, I'm going to reach my goal to some level.
Yep.
I might not get it fully, or I might, you know, things might play out perfectly and I might get it fully, but understanding that like, as long as I put in the work, I will reach some level of my goal. And, you know, not getting too caught up in the end game as much as like, all right, like this is all things that, you know, God forbid something happen and I'm driving home and I don't make it home. Like I know that I'm putting in the work to get to where I want to get to. I'm not exactly where I want to be yet, but I'm putting in that work. So like, it just, you know, I feel like you said, once you come to that realization, it's like the burden of the world lifts off your shoulders. I feel like you're just a lot more free to think, a lot more free to be creative,
Right.
a lot more free to make connections with people, talk to people, listen to people that have differing opinions of you and shit like that. And, it's very easy to get caught up and locked into your own shit. And then also it's like, well, I have this, crippling feeling of that, the things that I can't control, I'm struggling with. So then when it comes to the things that you can't control, it just adds that extra amount of stress that is like
On you.
unnecessary, really.
That you don't need.
For real. And, I think for me, at least, what I struggle with is that I feel like at a certain age, like, what's, like you said, if you're doing something wrong, if you're doing something bad, if you're doing something good. And like, you kind of, again, you'll start trying to justify, well, I'm feeling this way, so it's okay if I, do this. Maybe I step over somebody, maybe I fuck somebody over. But I was justified in what I was doing because of how I felt, when it shouldn't be like that. You just be like, hey, listen, like, it's okay to feel feelings. It's okay to feel emotions, but don't let your feelings and emotions dictate how you're going to live your life. Don't let it dictate how you're going to make decisions and things like that.
Facts.
And, it just, it blows my mind sometimes how people just don't. They just don't.
They don't know it and they don't get it. And sometimes they don't care to know.
For sure. I think that's the thing that upsets me the most. Like, if somebody doesn't understand, that's one thing. But if someone, like, is understanding and just, yeah, fuck it, like, I'm still going to keep on doing what I'm doing, I'm like, what, like, why? What is it, like, what does that do for you? Like, you're literally just hurting yourself more than anybody. Like, you might think you're getting back at somebody or something like that, but, like,
You're making yourself look very dumb.
For real. And it's like,
And they'll know it. They won't admit it, but they'll know it.
That's what lying is a paradox. Lying to yourself is a paradox. You can't do it, and they'll try to justify everything, try and convince yourself of it. And again, you say it enough times that you start believing it. But like I was saying, you start once you're by yourself in your room trying to go to sleep, and there's no one there around you, and you get deep into your thoughts, you're the only one that's suffering from it. Mm-hmm. And it's people that live like that are I guess more power to them, because it couldn't be me.
Right.
So, I know you mentioned a lot in the first book that you were raised by a single mother.
Right.
How much of that do you feel like has that molded you as an adult, as a woman, as just your outlook on life?
I'm very thankful. I'm very grateful, very humble, because I always had it easy growing up. I never really had it hard, being raised by a single parent. When dad wasn't there, uncles were there. Stepdad has been there since day one, never left my side. And it made me a better parent because I have my own kid. Like, I have my own daughter. And the things that I learned from mom, I use them later on in life now with my child. So, just the benefit of having someone there, nurturing, caring. Because in life, it's like people that really can't talk to their mom, whether they're in the graveyard 6 feet under, or you just never had a relationship with your mom. A lot of people have no support or can't go to their mom, so they lash out. They never been loved, so they so quick to fall in love with these men and stimulate and manipulate their mind because they never came from nothing. They never came from love. I come from a household of love.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Yeah, it is wild how much that can affect your mindset and just your outlook on life. The amount of love that you received growing up, or the lack thereof. And I relate to that. I didn't grow up in a single parent home, but my parents got divorced when I was pretty young, and my stepdad's been in my life since I was 4 years old.
That's
and good. We didn't always see eye to eye on things, but very much, we never went without. And, that's something that as when you're younger, you don't really realize, but as you get older and you start, figuring out what life is and what it entails and all this shit, the level of respect that you gain for somebody is, it's out of this world, especially when it's somebody that didn't, he didn't have to do any of that shit. Nope. He didn't have to be there. Like, especially, when I'm being a little pain in the ass and shit like that, like, they don't have to be there, but, they were, and, they made sure that we had more than enough. So it is definitely a beautiful thing when when you have that type of support, and more importantly, like, you know, when you realize it and you get to a point where you can start, you know, repaying it. Even though I feel like, you know, there's no amount that I could do to repay, you know, my mom, my stepdad, my sisters, you know, family members, you know, friends, things like that growing up, for the amount of support and love that I got growing up. But, you know, it does kind of, you know, it gives you a little bit of motivation, kind of, you know, when you're on a bad day, you know, might be a little, you know, lack of motivation there. Kind of, for me at least, it definitely, I'll start thinking back on some of these times. I'm like, fuck, like, what am I bitching about right now? Like, what am I complaining about right now? Like,
Someone has it way harder than you right now.
Facts. And I know it's like very like cliche to say that, and it's very like, you know, yeah, of course somebody has it, but like it's still a problem that I have. But it, you know, it just for me, it's all about perspective. Like,
right.
Everyone has problems. We know that. That's, you know, that is, and you mentioned it in the beginning of your first book. Like, we all are dealt with a hand of cards, you know, and some of it's going to be good, some of it's going to be bad, and you know, you kind of have to, you know, work through it and you know, figure out how you're going to make this deck of cards work for you.
Gotcha.
And it's easy to sit there and complain about the bad stuff and complain about what you don't have. But for some reason, it's so hard for people to sit back and be appreciative of the things that they do have. And like, all right, well, maybe I don't have this, but I do have this, this, and this. How can I make this work for me? And how can I apply this to my life to equate to whatever success I want it to equate to?
Sacrifice. You got to know how to sacrifice and be willing to sacrifice.
Facts. And I feel like that gets lost a lot too. Yeah. A lot of these fundamental things just get lost in, like, I don't know, I guess in just the rat race of life, I guess. I mean, again, it's easy. There's a lot of distractions. There's a million different things going on, especially nowadays with social media, that the news is in your hand 24/7. So there's always that, you know, these influencers, you know, this, that, whatever, you know, feeding you false dreams and things that are just like, they want you to believe that it's going to satisfy you and it's going to be, you know, it's going to feed your soul, when in reality, it's all just materialistic, like empty things. And not to say that it's, you know, those things aren't nice. Like, you know, I got a nice little watch on. I like it. You know, I got but like, those aren't things that fulfill you. Those are things that enhance happiness. But you have to be able to find that happiness within yourself. And I feel like a lot of people, especially nowadays, are looking outwards for all that shit and not, you know, like you mentioned already, not looking within yourself for, you know, to solve these issues and to rectify some of these problems that you have, these insecurities. And when, again, it sounds cliche as fuck, but all the answers are right in here, right in here. But it's a scary thing sometimes. And I get that, like, having to, you know, sift through all these thoughts and memories and things, it can get scary because you know, have to start thinking about stuff that you might have been suppressing that you don't really want to rehash. But you're not going to grow and not going to be the best version of yourself to then, you know, put that out in the world if you don't do these things. So I do, you know, again, I admire people that self-awareness, you know, resilience, that it shows. I mean, just in the title of this book, you know, it shows that, you know, those are qualities that that you realize that you had early on, and you've been able to hone it in and, again, make it work for you now. I mean, seems like you're doing pretty well for yourself, and, you know, I feel like that should be the goal for everybody.
I'm happy. I'm at peace. I feel good. I'm glowing.
Hey.
Life flowing.
Hey, go ahead. Talk your shit.
You know, shit is perfect right now.
Yeah.
I can't even complain. I can't complain if I wanted to, because everything, it's in my power and it's in my control. Pray to God and sacrifice for what I want, for what I want to become.
What's the hardest thing you think it is for you to sacrifice right now? You know, given everything that you've got going on right now, things like that, what do you think is the number one thing that is the hardest thing for you to sacrifice on?
That's a good one. I really don't know. I don't know, because I done went through fasting and prayer, and it's like, at this point, I can sacrifice anything. And a good sacrifice, not a bad sacrifice, but a good sacrifice to make something out of myself, like give up clothes, shoes, spending money on dumb shit. I can give up that. That's materialistic stuff. That don't excite me. The joy of my daughter is what excites me. Waking up, having her smile, providing, being there. That's what makes me a better person, a better Chantelle.
Yeah. Yeah. What as far as like I guess I'll say your spiritual journey, and then you can kind of like be more specific on that. Like, when did you start, I guess kind of started on that journey of, whether it's religion, spirituality, whatever it is that you practice and you follow. Like, when did you start really like honing into that and start realizing it's like, oh, this is what's really going to help me?
Right. God first, always God first. And after I wrote this book, I started gardening, and I started planting seeds. And the seeds, when I would be planting, I'm asking God, strip everything that's not for me away from me. Take it away. Throw it into the pits. And I don't want to deal with it no more. And the more I just started focusing on me and focusing on God, everything else, it was like a magnet. It just, everything went to happening so fast. So my journey with me and self-love, I published the book in March, but I really started loving self and valuing self and gardening and going on a spiritual, I wouldn't say journey because everybody, I want a spiritual journey. No, you're not. You're just saying this shit because Instagram's saying it.
Facts.
But going on a self-help journey, learning me journey, what you want to be journey, oh, man, it was on and popping from there. Yeah. Doors just went to opening.
And I think that's, whenever I ask that question, that's probably like one of the most common answers that I get is, I just started, getting all this negative out of my life and, honing in on what I wanted to do, and all these other things, just started coming to me. Doors started opening up. Like you say, things started just coming to me like a magnet.
Right.
And you just attract what you put out.
Right.
And like that is one of the truest things. And again, all this shit sounds cliche, but it wouldn't be cliche if it wasn't true. So,
right.
Take that for what it is. But it definitely, again, that's one of that's very common, a common thread between all the, the people that I've asked that question is like, I just kind of let go again of the negative, asked to get all this negative out of my life and, kind of hone in on what I want to do. And all these opportunities started opening up for me. Things started happening for me, just.
Like,
you look up, you look down, and a year later, you have all these goals in front of you that, you had at this point, and now, oh shit, like now I'm on my new set of goals. Like all those things accomplished, like that. So.
On the rise. I'm on the rise, Like I was telling someone today, if I procrastinate and say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm never going to do it. But when my mind is on something to do some shit, like if I want to write a book and I want it done, I can write a book in 48 hours, 72 hours, and then have somebody go through it, make the corrections.
Yeah.
Like an editor. I can get everything done myself because I know what self want. Mm-hmm. I know this is another avenue for me. This is something that my kid can always go back on Amazon. It can always be reprinted. It can always be remade.
Yeah.
This is literally a marketing tool that can always be remade.
Facts.
Can't go wrong with it.
Man.
Like, beautiful. I can cut my hair off and grow it back, but I can't. I can shred this and make a whole nother one and a million more of these. Yeah. Ain't no telling. Once the right person get a hold of this shit,
it's a wrap.
It's over with. Yeah. And it's coming sooner than a pitch think.
Yeah.
It's coming fast.
Ahead. Say what you got to say. This is a filter-free zone. You can let that shit fly.
I'm finna have my own newspaper. Let them see that. News articles coming out.
Yeah, so elaborate on that a little bit more. I know you were telling me about that before we started recording, but you told me you were just coming from a photo shoot to help promote that. So what is that all about?
Extra, read all about it. So honestly, that is just about my books, letting the community know about my books. Who is Chantelle? Where are you from? Small business owners, putting them into the news articles of what's going on, like in the hoods, in Sanford, who's doing hair, who's doing this. Because when you pick up an Orlando Sentinel, you just seeing, big time businesses or whatever. But what about the black culture? What about the Spanish culture businesses? Yeah. Not all these house for sales. What about the small local, like hood news? Yeah. When I say hood news, I'm not talking about bullshit with people fighting and shit. That ain't no hood news. That's damn stupidity. That's dumb shit. Yeah. Okay, such and such gonna be on 15th Street, selling food at 4:00 on this Sunday. That's marketing them, letting the people know, hey, we gonna be over here selling food this day. It's putting somebody else's business out there.
So I mean, essentially, it seems like what your goal for this is just help marketing, helping getting people's names out there, people's brands out there. I mean, essentially just keeping the community informed on what's going on and kind of giving an avenue and an outlet to people who are doing something and are trying to make something of themselves.
Facts.
Which again, another beautiful, admirable thing. Like it just it's easy to say all these things and to talk a big game, but then to put it into action and then actually make it happen and then lay down the groundwork and the foundation for it to again, like you might be setting somebody else up, 5 other people up, 10 other people up for success and helping them reach their dream and helping them reach their goal. And again, a big theme on this episode is just helping people, setting yourself up to then help other people set themselves up and get to where they're trying to get to. And then that just kind of creates a ripple effect of like, just positivity and love and just like real corny shit. But it's we need more of that in the world right now.
Gotta push it out. If you don't, how can I write a book and then I don't tell the world about it, but I'm on Instagram like showing a video of myself at the beach or at the pool? You have to market what you have. Mm-hmm. You have to market what you have. If you market it and you market it the right way, it's gonna get out there.
I think that's the hardest part. For me at least, finding out like, as I, embark on my own, little, side projects, businesses, things like that. I feel like the hardest part is to, how am I going to market this? How, who am I trying to appeal to? And with the podcast, it's been a little bit easier because it's just, it kind of started as, me and my friends, we're going to talk about sports, talk about music, talk about current events, things like that. But as, people started dropping off and I was able to hone in a little bit more, again, it is more of a, obviously I still like to talk shit, talk about sports, talk about life, things that whatever, but it is more of just I hope people can take something from it as far as like, something that's going to help them grow as an individual, help them grow as a person, maybe help them realize something that, they weren't able to realize on their own, or maybe, just kickstart something, just to get, get the gears going a little bit. Cause there's so many times that I'll talk to people and like you're talking to them and you see, they're starting to kind of hear what you're saying. You see I'm like, yes, you're getting through to them. And then 2-3 days later, you talk to them and they're back on the same bullshit. They revert. And it's
because they were just listening to you for in that moment.
Right.
That's why I beat on myself so much, because I know I can push me. But if you get around other people that they may not be from the same environment as you, but they might have the same dream and mindset as you. So I would love to walk in a room right now full of billionaires. Why? Because I can learn from them, right?
Facts.
Once I learn the tools from them, I'm going to be a trillionaire. Now I'm ahead of you. I done learned what I needed to learn for you. My skill set done already learned. So now it's time for me to rise above the occasion.
Right.
That's it.
And I feel like people like kind of like I feel like using somebody is like has a negative connotation to it, but like that's exactly what it is. Like it's not a bad thing to use people if you're doing it in a positive way. Like if it's an exchange of knowledge and information, technically you're still using somebody, but like there's benefit to both sides. And I feel like that term, like using somebody, kind of needs to shift a little bit from, oh, he was using me for this, or she was using me so she could get that. And it needs to shift a little bit more. It's like, let's use each other because we both know we're intelligent, knowledgeable people. Let's bounce ideas off each other. Let's talk and like let's refine these ideas with each other. So then, when we go off and do our own thing, we're able to give the refined idea to somebody who, again, you might be just in random conversation talking to somebody, and that conversation comes up that, oh yeah, I remember when I was talking to Chantelle and we were talking all this bullshit and refining our ideas. Now I'm out in such and such place talking to somebody, and now that I have that idea refined, it can resonate with somebody a lot easier because I know what I'm saying. I know how to say it to where it can resonate with somebody. And
gotcha.
You can't do that. You can do that if you're, if you are to yourself, but a little bit, but you get the most when you're talking out loud and saying it to somebody and kind of getting someone's feedback. Obviously, like not just anybody. Like if you go to some hobo on the fucking side of the street, you know, not to say that they can't give you some wisdom, but you know, again, you kind of have to be on a similar mindset, a similar brainwave of shit. You know, if you talk to somebody, like you said, that, you know, you go into a room of billionaires and you're able to, the mindset's there. Now you take those tools and apply it to yourself, and then you can go give that shit to the world.
It's all about learning. I wouldn't say using. You have to learn from it. Learn from every experience, even if it's a bad experience. It's the learning process.
Facts.
Shit gonna hurt. So what? Get a little scrape on you, put some peroxide on it, and keep going.
Right.
Or you just gonna keep fucking dabbing. I ain't hurt. I have a boo boo. Fuck. You better get up and get
up, get out, and get something. Shit.
There you go.
Nah, but so how, like, what is your writing process like? Like, how often are you writing? Like, is it like a daily thing? And
no, I just wake up one day and I'm like, fuck it, I'm finna write a book today.
Damn, just like that.
I swear to God.
Just like that.
It don't be nothing planned like, man, tomorrow I'm gonna do this. I literally wake up and be like, yeah.
Just when the inspiration hits, that's it.
Like now, like when I walked in here and I told you, I'm finna write a book about drugs. I'm finna write a book about this drug dealer.
Yeah.
He's doing his thing. He pushing weight. He doing this and this. He done blew everything. What he gonna do? The world may never know.
Shit, hopefully you write it out for us so we can find out. Shit.
Oh, of course. Be on the lookout.
Hey, that's
books dropping in January or February. Date is not released yet.
Not yet, hey, but TDB. But what else we got? Shit. Damn, I just had a question in my head and it just left me. Right out of my head. Damn. Guess it wasn't that good of a question anyways. No, but no, I mean, that's, again, a lot of these things that we've been, you know, talking about and touching on are things that, you know, I'm constantly preaching on here. Constantly, you know, trying to, I mean, even within myself, like I mean, for anybody who's been following us for, you know, the 5 years or however long, you know, can attest to it that there would be times where I'm coming to realizations mid-podcast. Like I'm over here having a conversation with somebody. I'm just like, damn, like, yeah, and all this shit's starting to make sense now. So like it's like
ding, 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 ding,
right.
Ding, the light bulb just came on.
No, that's why I like talking to people. Again, even if it's somebody that I don't agree with, even if it's something that I already have my opinion on and I'm already set on it, you know, getting somebody else's perspective on something is never a bad thing. And I feel like a lot of people are trying to turn that into a bad thing. It's like, no, like most of my friends, we agree on certain things, but there's a lot of things that we don't agree on. But I feel like that's the beautiful part about our friendship is that we don't agree on certain shit and we don't agree on some major shit. But like, that's not going to change how, you know, I still fuck with you. You know, if you're down bad, you know, we got you. Like if I'm down bad, I know they got me. Like it runs deeper than just friendship. And I feel like, you know, especially nowadays, it's very easy to just get lost in your own world and you know, somebody don't agree with me, all right, fuck you, I'm gonna cut you off, and just kind of surround yourself with a lot of shit. Childish as fuck. But you start surrounding yourself with a lot of confirmation bias and a lot of people that are just a lot of yes men essentially. And I mean, you don't grow like that. You stunt your growth in that sense. I'm a firm believer that like until the day I die, I have room to grow. I have room to learn. I have room to figure something out. I have room to improve on myself. And I feel like a lot of people don't take that same approach. They feel like, oh, well, they put a lot of their value into monetary stuff. Gotcha. And that's how they equate their success, but don't really take the time to, again, look within themselves, figure out like, how am I treating people? What, you know, how am I projecting my insecurities out into the world? If I am, like, how am I doing it? How can I do it? And like just a lot of how and why questions that people will just cut off at a certain level and that's it. I'm good here. Like, I don't need to grow anymore. And I feel like that's not only a disservice to yourself, but a disservice to people around you and people that you love and care about.
Them facts.
That's it. I'm trying to, I spit them. That's for sure. There's one thing I do, I spit facts.
I see. And they coming quick.
Shit. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just, a lot of this shit, it seems very simple and like easy to me. I guess it's not.
I mean, but you have the tools. They're in the box. You just have to take them out of the box and
I feel like,
screw them in.
I feel like we're all, for the most part, and I'm speaking generally right now. Obviously, there's outliers and shit like that, but I feel like generally speaking, most people are born with the right amount of tools or the right tools to be the person that you want to be. I'm not saying as far as like career wise, or I'm just talking about just morally, the way that you want to live your life and the way that you want people to perceive you as a person. Like everybody has the tools. It's just a matter of, again, having those hard conversations with yourself, having those hard conversations with people that actually know you and can actually give you like true feedback.
Gotcha.
And again, like it's a scary thing to go through. It's hard, again, because you got to, rehash a lot of things. But again, I feel like a lot of people just create excuses for themselves to not do certain things, and and let fear kind of dictate what they're gonna do in their life.
But sometimes people don't have a drive. So if you don't have a drive,
fair. I mean, yeah. I agree with that. I feel like again, this could just be me. This could just be me projecting, but I feel like at a certain point in your life, it doesn't necessarily have to be an age, but like a certain point in your life, what makes you go, what's going to slow you down, what makes you tick, yourself, you live with yourself literally your whole life.
right.
So like, but I guess it's more of just like, well, what is stopping you from like really finding that, or like not even finding that drive, but acting on it? And I think that's where I start, when I'm talking to people, that's where I'm like, all right, well, you say, you're giving me these lists of things that either you want to accomplish or that you want to work on and things like that, but you feel like you don't know where to start. Well, just start. Don't worry about how to start. Just start. And you'll feel like, again, things will start rolling themselves out for you. And, if you start it's like cleaning a room. Like if you let your room get too out of control and you're just like, oh, what's too messy, I'm not going to clean it up. All right, well, that doesn't solve anything. But if you I don't know where to start, but let me just start picking this up. Eventually the whole room's going to be clean. And you're like, all right, like that wasn't too bad. I feel like the fear of like what it might be and how the journey might be what holds back a lot of people. And then once they start doing it, you start realizing, oh, this shit is not that bad. It's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. It's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. Or maybe it is. But then, like, again, you come out more times than not, usually coming out better on the other side. A little bit more enlightened, a little bit more awake, a little bit more aware, self-awareness, whatever. And I don't know. I feel like it's not that hard.
To you, but to others, it may be hard.
Shit. Yeah, I mean, who knows? But what else? Anything else that you got going on besides the books? I know we didn't really touch on the filmmaking too much. You said that's something that you started a little bit more recently. How did you find out that was something that you enjoyed doing as well?
I picked up my camera and I just went to record in every neighborhood in Sanford. And I'm like, I'm about to film me a movie. And I would go into the black restaurants and they would just act. And I came up with these 3 main characters. The movie is called Through the Eyes of Our Children. It's on YouTube if you want to go check it out.
Word.
And I developed these 3 characters. One was a superstar basketball player. He ended up getting killed in the movie for following his friends. And I got these 3 teenagers to act out for me. We had a red carpet event. I recorded them for 30 days straight.
Oh, shit.
30 days straight, just doing dumb shit, acting it out. I go home, write it. All right, I want you guys to act like this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Practice. We give it a go. It works. Keep going. Had my own pre-sale tickets. I sold 100 tickets, so I did make like $1,000, over $1,000 on tickets. 1,000 people didn't show up. But I did have, I think, like 40 or 50 people that showed up.
Hey.
But I still profited and was able to save and make money.
Hey, that's something. So I was just actually, for the first time, I think it was last week, I went to the Orlando Movie Festival.
Mm-hmm. I need to get in that.
Yeah, that and the Outliers literally just about to say that. I'm like, how long you think until they're showing your movies there? Because actually, one of the guys that I met through my barber, actually, he recorded a couple of our podcasts, but he was, I don't know if he helped direct or he was credited in one of the movies that was playing there. I wasn't able to go the day that they were showing it, but I hit him up. I'm like, hey, like, you got anything, that's in that movie festival? He's like, yeah, I actually do. And we talked about it a little bit, but, is that something that is like a goal for you, or like, is it just like?
It was just something I was doing, but now that I know I can sit back and have somebody else record and I can just sit on set and direct. Yeah. It is something else that I am doing. I got another movie coming out. It's called A Broken Child Trying to Heal. This kid named Ladarian Hill, he loses his mom to lupus, and he's using football as an avenue instead of going into a different route with his life.
And it seems like most of your movies, books, things like that are what's it called? Kind of, leading people to, motivate, leading people to, inspiration and things like that. Which again, is a beautiful thing. I cannot, stress that enough that, there needs to be, just a little bit more of a conscious effort of people trying to, just more selflessness more than anything. Like, obviously you got to have a certain level of selfishness to grow and to prosper in life, but just giving it back, returning it, again, like we said in the beginning, just gaining the knowledge and wisdom to then give it out and inspire somebody else to get a book published or to go film a movie or to go pursue whatever dream it is, whether it's to go make music or record a podcast, start a podcast. You don't know how many people have asked me, like, oh, like, how long have you been doing it? How'd you start? I'm like, bro, we just started it. Like, our first few episodes, like, we still have them out. Like, if you go back and listen to those, like, those were fucking rough. Like, it was rough goings at first, but, you just kind of like
develop the flow.
Yeah, and just kind of like, just kind of the naiveness of like not knowing that we shouldn't, like, we can't do this. Just like, we're just doing it because, we're friends. We want to talk about shit and get it out there. Like, there was no, like, we were too dumb to realize that, we're not good at this, but like, if we put enough work into it, like, we'll get good eventually, and then, something's going to come from it. So like, just kind of like having that blind faith in certain things sometimes as well, definitely is a good trait to have. Like, if you think about something too much, then that's another way that you could just kind of like paralyze yourself from, achieving something or at least trying to do something that you've been wanting to try out or give a go. So, just stop thinking so much, I would say to people. Just turn off the brain a little bit and just fucking just let it go. So, but I mean, I think we're about a solid hour, a little bit less because we started recording a little bit. Is there anything that you want to say? Anything that you want to push? I know we've been talking about the books a lot.
Purchase my books on Amazon. You can look my name up, Chantelle. Last name is Rumph.
Yes, here it is.
Book is called Rebirthing Self-Love, Mental Health, and Forgiveness. And then you got the living proof on there as well. So go get your copy.
Yep. And any social medias, YouTube, things that you want to shout out?
YouTube, my name is Chantelle Rumph on there as well. And then social media, you can look me up on Instagram at Telly_0303.
Word. Well, I mean, this was a good time. I feel like we definitely got a lot of stuff out there. We got, people to kind of get inside your head a little bit, see where you're coming from, seeing the things that you're doing, and also the impact that you're making in your community, and now, trying to, spread your reach out a little bit more. So definitely, once that third book drops, I would love to have you on. I'll be through both of these books by then. So then, we come back on and get to talking and,
sounds like a plan.
Shoot the shit. So thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, this was a first for us, having a published author. Very prestigious. That has a nice ring to it. So definitely appreciate you giving us some of your time. And yeah, we're out. Everybody love everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Deuces.
Deuces.
Boom. Just like that.